Darnell, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy guy, got a lot going on, so thank you for taking the time.
Appreciate it. Thank you first and foremost for having me. And I know you just said we was just gonna jump right into it. So I'll start by saying my name is Darnell Liburd, founder of Darnell Cares, a nonprofit based out of New York State, and 501c3 as well. So pleasure to be with you, here to tell my story and share my wisdom.
Wait, so just to backtrack, so you say you're through New York State, your nonprofit?
Yeah, my nonprofit.
So break that down. You have government contracts or?
Yeah, so not government contracts in that regards, but in regards to, your 501c3 status, you apply based on the state.
Oh, for the state. Got you. Okay, cool. So tell us more about Darnell Cares. What do y'all do?
Most definitely. So Darnell Cares is 6 years in existence. Started literally with a tweet. And, we just went on from there. So I had some unused clothes that I wanted at first and that I didn't need at first. And my mom was like, hey, listen, you got to get these clothes out of my house, right? So I was just like, well, growing up in a Caribbean household, your summer clothes, the same thing you don't need, they'll put it in a barrel and they'll send it down to the Caribbean, right? So my mom would ship everything to Barbados, same kids where my dad is from. And, my winter clothes she would give to the Salvation Army. But I wasn't too fond of the Salvation Army. And people would ask me all the time, why? Because growing up in my neighborhood, right next to the location we have, there's a storefront next to it, right? And it will sell the clothing that they found was of good quality, right? And I was just like, I don't like this procedure. I don't like this process. So I wanted to change that. So I wanted to actually collect the clothes and provide them to backs of New York City residents, right? So I used my following on social media, had about, at this time, 5,000 followers on, Twitter and Instagram. And I was like, I know there's people out there who have clothes that they want to, donate.
Right.
So I sent out a tweet like, hey, listen, I'm cleaning out my closet. All you got to do is pack a bag. Don't even worry about it. I'll pick it up. And it just took off. This is before engagement. And just thousands of people DMing me, contacting me. It just got too crazy. So I'm like, yo, listen, what am I going to do? So I was just like, yo, just do it. Like you made this call to action, like you gotta live in it now. So that's exactly what I did. So first year I had filled a small U-Haul van, just picking up across the 5 boroughs of my friends reaching out to me. And I didn't even have a name at that time. My friend would just ask me and say, like, yo, Darnell, why are you doing this? Like, yo, Darnell just cares, yo. Like, that's just him. I just put the 2 and 2 together and ran with it. So that's how, the existence of Darnell Cares started. And each year we just elevated and grew. So, started out small, 25 bags, and then it just took off from there. So, this past week, in the year that we're in right now, 2024, I collected over 200 bags across the 5 boroughs, filled a 10 by 15 U-Haul truck, which is the second the largest unit, and was able to donate that to the Bowery Mission in Soho, New York, which I have a partnership with for the last 6 years. So it's been a blessing to do, and, it's just the power of your voice and getting your word out there in regards to, just a simple tweet just took off, and now people are contacting me from all over.
This is your first time doing something like this, or you have a history of doing community impact, social impact stuff?
Yeah, so first time doing anything in this to this magnitude. I've done community service events in like high school. I went to Catholic school. Shout out to Rice High School. Closed down in 2012, but I graduated in 2010. So we would always do like back to school drives, then giving drives. So I've always had a passion to give back, right? So the philanthropy work wasn't too far fetched to what I'm doing now. But this was my first time in 2018 starting this up. So I just wanted to give back, and I was like, this is an easy way to do it. What is it going to cost me? And I didn't know what I was getting myself into, to be honest. So that tweet took me, so I just like, let me set a plan, right? So I'll walk you through it. So what I did is, it's called Darnell Cares End of Summer Clothing Drive. Because typically what I do is that I'll change, at the end of the summer, I'll change out my summer clothes for my fall and winter clothes, right? So things that I'm not going to wear anymore, that are too small, out of style, maybe out of trend, I'll place it in a bag and I would, put it to the side for Darnell Cares. So I was like, you know what? For 2 weeks at the end of the summer, I'm going to collect the clothes and I'm going to donate them. So, I accept men, women's, and children's clothing and footwear, gently used, of course. And all I ask you to do is pack a bag, and, you reach out to me via social media, and I'll come by and pick it up. So
you come by and pick it up.
I come by and pick it up. That's it. So I haven't traveled to Staten Island yet. But that's a little far from
nobody
the Bronx.
go to Staten Island,
Nobody
man?
go to Staten Island, man. But traveling in from the Bronx, I spend a lot of hours on the road.
Right. Wait, and you don't have it's nobody else, just you.
It's nobody else but me. So, and I'm glad that you brought that up. So a little quick tidbit is that it's not my my day job, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm just doing this at the end of the summer, and it runs the span of 2 weeks, right? I do in fact have a 9 to 5. So after I close my laptop as I do work from home. Now I'm on the road, out picking up clothes. Sometimes I'm getting back to the Bronx at 1, 2 a.m. because I'm making these trips to, let's just say, Queens or Brooklyn. This past year, one day I was in Brooklyn. I had 12 stops, to pick up in. So, but to go back to your point of asking me, like, is it just me? Yes. And I think the reason for that is that a lot of people do want to help. It might have been a little easier when we were working from home because people's schedules were more flexible, right? You could stop by at like noon because you don't have a call or something and pick up a bag. But just figuring out somebody else's schedule and just correlating and coordinating with your friend to say, hey, could you be in Brooklyn by their house to pick it up, and now I have to rely on somebody else. It gets a little confusing in that sense. So I just simply do it by myself. But I think that's what stems off of the passion, because that's like my drive and what I want to do. And I know that the mission and vision of this is bigger than me, right? So, it started as a clothing drive, but that's not where we are now, right? So, I know that we're going to have more collaborations. We're going to deal with more companies. We're going to partner with more companies. And, this can go to the moon and beyond. But just honing in and, grinding out those 2 weeks of picking up the clothes, like it all matters. It all works out, yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure it's going to grow. But you didn't stop there, though. You said you have something that you do at the end of the year, too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I wear multiple hats. So I'm 1/5 of another nonprofit that we have here in New York called Hungry for Change NYC. So how that started is, I grew up in a church, so typically I would bring in my New Year's at church, right? So service is over at 1 a.m. and then from there, when I was of age, I would like to go out, have fun, turn up, pop bottles with my friends. But I would always wake up the next day and was just like, that was a lot of money spent for no reason, right? So I want to change that. And I come up with my best ideas in the shower. I don't know, what everybody else's ideas. Oh, see, look, we connect right there. So I come up with my best ideas in the shower. So as I'm showering, getting ready for church, I'm like, yo, listen, like, let's do something different. Like, let's not go to that party. Like, I graduated in 2014. That was my last time partying on New Year's. So I was like, 2015 was rolling around. I said, you know what? Let's give back. So I wrote in a group chat. I had a group chat at the time called Father Stretch My Bands with like my close friends. So I'm like, listen, instead of going to that party tonight, let's go and give back. And they were like, what you mean by that? I was like, well, I think everyone deserves a meal, right? Everyone needs food to survive. And they was like, yo, I like that. Tell me more. So I was like, let's go to McDonald's. At that time, I don't know if you recall, but McDonald's had the not you pick two, but it was like buy one McDouble and you get a McDouble, like 2 for 1 kind of deal, right? So we bought 100 McChickens and 100 McDoubles, and we went down to Grand Central and we started to hand them out. And I was like, yo, this is dope. Like, we're getting feedback from people walking by, like, listen, we love what you're doing. Like, this is great. And, you're inspiring people and you're feeding others. And I was like, oh, we could do more. So I went home and I soaked it. I was like, wow, this is good. At that time, it was Snapchat. So we was able to record a little bit. But I didn't want to, give out too much in regards to like what we were doing because I knew it was going to evolve. Right. So I took that year, those 365 days and like planned. So I was like, those weren't the healthiest options to give to people. So how can I change this? Right. So I reached out to my resources and my connections. So now present, Hungry for Change NYC is going on its 9th year. And we have partnerships with Golden Crust, BJ's, Costco, Fresh Direct, Restaurant Depot, who provide our supplies and our food. And this past year, we were able to feed 500 individuals with hot plates. So we're talking barbecue chicken, curry chicken, jerk chicken, oxtail even. And that's a funny story. The year that we gave out McChickens and McDoubles, a lady walked up. She was like, you don't got no oxtail in that bag? And I'm like, damn, we got to get oxtail. Like, this is what the people want. We got to get them what they need. So crazy enough. And, shout outs to my good friend, Renee Morrison, who got me in contact. Her family owns a Golden Crust in Brooklyn, New York, actually. And, they were able to provide the food. I did ask my mom to make a few items. My mom mom would cook the barbecue chicken. My best friend Howie, his mom would cook the rice. My friend Sade's grandmother would cook the macaroni and cheese, and we'll package everything up. And it was just like, well, this hot meal is good for right now, right? But what are they going to have after this, right? Because, once that digests, you're going to be hungry again. So we added in a component, and we made about 100 sandwiches, just turkey and cheese on white bread into sandwich bags. And we handed that out with some fruit and a bag of chips as well. So they have options to take on with them. And then from there, it just blew up. So now we give out toiletries and other necessities that are able to get them through a day in a life of, sleeping on these New York City streets. So beautiful experience, got a lot of feedback. I was featured on BronxNet as well as News 12. They were actually like in my residence and, recording us, making the plates, making the sandwiches. And that's just good to see. So I appreciate the exposure.
And you deserve the exposure. So you got Darnell Cares, you got Hungry for Change, and then your 9 to 5 is what?
9 to 5 as well. So yeah, for my 9 to 5, I actually currently now work in the nonprofit space. So I'm a senior manager on the development team at Thurgood Marshall College Fund. So I work with Fortune 100 companies all the way to Fortune 500 companies to gain funds and access for our HBCU students. So I'm a proud HBCU graduated from Delaware State University. So I'm always going to put my alma mater and students that look like me in the forefront, right? So now me giving back in my 9 to 5, ensuring that we secure internships, job opportunities, or even scholarship money for these students, it's all in a day's work. So my passion never fades, whether it's my 9 to 5 or my 5 to 9. So, I'm very passion driven in everything that I want to do. I love the process. It's not the easiest. I definitely want to say that because a lot of, long nights and early mornings. Like I said, I've been picking up clothes for, 2 weeks for Darnell Cares, right? So we're thinking about 14 days just nonstop. And this year in particular, my homecoming crossed over with that. So I was able to actually drive to Delaware, enjoy my homecoming, and collaborate with people to provide me clothing that I was picking up on the yard to bring back. So the work never stops.
Yeah, you found a cheat code, man. I think it's so dope because, even for me, I work in the government sector too, public administration as a whole. But I feel like everything you do is fulfilling, right? You have a fulfilling life because you're doing things with purpose consistently, right? How did you keep that heart posture? Trying to figure out how to get sustainability, get some money coming in, take care of yourself, take care of your family. How do you keep a heart posture of just community first as you're doing all that?
Yeah, most definitely. So I think for me, what it was is that I realize that I'm blessed. I often say I'm one of God's favorite. I have a roof over my head, clothes on my back, food to eat, and friends and family who genuinely love and care about me, right? So Darnell Cares' mission is to ensure the well-being and quality of life of the communities and the individuals that we serve, right? So I wanted to find out if I'm blessed in what I'm doing, how can I go above and beyond to do more to help others, right? And if I have, a place to live, a car to drive, and all of these great things, there's many people out there who don't have that, right? So what are they lacking? What do they need help in? Whether it's, clothing, whether it's food, maybe a resource, or even somebody to talk to. A lot of the times of, finding that stability that you mentioned is that, I'm working in my passion of what I want to do, right? Helping people who look like me secure jobs, internship, and funding because I was granted with those opportunities. And then, my nonprofit space of me working with Darnell Cares and Hungry for Change, I'm doing the same thing as well. So I found a way to pay the bills and as well as, involve my passions as well. So for me, we speaking off camera about this, but I'm more so passion over payment, right? I don't have any OGs in the nonprofit space. No one, I don't have a big brother, a big sister hey, listen, do this by the book. Little quick tidbit is that, Hungry for Change and Darnell Cares, they were already in works before they were established as 501c3s. Right. So I was hearing from many people, I'm they was Darnell, you should apply for grants. Are you a 501c3? And I'm no, I'm not, but I got to figure out how I can be so I can ensure, to get this grant money. And I think for me is that, a lot of times people, the young kids say you're gatekeeping or you're tucking sauce or, you're not giving back. But I want to be that one. I don't know it all, right? In this nonprofit space. So I want to be able to learn with people and grow with them. So, you know, what I inspire to do is I think everyone should have some philanthropy under their belt, you know, whether it's a nonprofit or just volunteering to give back. Like, we all have hearts, and it takes nothing to crack a smile and be kind to someone. So, you know, that stability and just balancing out in regards to career and what I love to do, I think they intertwine so well that it doesn't even seem like work on either end.
Yeah, I love that, man. You said passion before payment?
Passion over payment. So I'm not selling a how-to on how to start a nonprofit. You know what I mean? And just judging by, you know, our conversations, I don't see you selling a how-to on podcasting, right? Like, not at all. You know what I mean? Like, you enjoy creating, you're creative. And that's how I feel about my passion and the work that I'm doing. Like, there's so much more to learn. I want to take both of these organizations above and beyond. Right. But I understand that there's a lot for me to learn, and I'm not here to make a profit off of it, right? So a lot of people were like, you just driving around, you know, all hours of the night collecting clothes, but for why? You know what I mean? Like, why not?
And people, they can't fathom.
They can't
like,
fathom
it doesn't make
that.
sense.
It doesn't make sense.
You're not going to be a millionaire for that.
Exactly. Right? Like, and you know, like, once all your ducks are in a row in regards to, like, you know, like, you're able to provide for yourself, pay your bills, take care of your family, live that lifestyle that you want to live, there's always room and opportunity to do something else, right? Right. Like, I know right now in the campaign season, we heard Kamala Harris say, like, do something. Like, everyone can do something. Do more. Do something. If you're thinking about, should I post that video? Should I post this reel? Should I post this contact? Just do something. Put it out there. And if you need to take a break, take a moment to just sit with yourself, gather your thoughts, maybe rebrand and get back to it, do that. But when people hear the work that I'm doing, or, you know, they might see a video or a reel or, you know, word of mouth from their friends, they can't wrap their head, like, why? Like, why are you doing this? Like, Darnell, you're always doing something. But I enjoy that, because I think what keeps me going is the smiles on the faces of the people that I serve, right? Little quick story. The first year of Darnell Cares, I got the connection from one of my frat brothers who was the director at the Bowery Mission, right? So he said, listen, we're a men's shelter. They're in need of clothing. I was like, listen, I got it from here. So the first year I dropped off clothes, I had on a red Adidas long sleeve sweatshirt. And a gentleman walks in my car. He had on a short sleeve shirt. But mind you, this is probably about like October, November. Not 2024 October, November, where it's 80 degrees right now. But it was cold that day. But he had on a T-shirt. He was like, yo, hey, man, can I get your sweatshirt? And I was like, damn, I thought about it. But I'm like, I'm in a car with heat, right? Let me just take off this sweater and give it to this guy. So I know a lot of times we ask, like, hey, God, send me a sign. Am I supposed to be doing this? I got my sign. 365 days later, I went back to the Bowery Mission to do my second installment drop-off. Who did I see? That guy waiting on the line for lunch in that red crew neck Adidas sweater I gave to him.
No way.
That was the only sign that I needed. That was the only sign that I needed to continue to do the work that I want to do.
Because you saying so much, I'm trying to hold back. Like, it's so many principles you kind of leaning into, right? And I'm so glad you got that. I call it signs of alignment, right?
Definitely.
You got that sign of alignment to affirm what you're doing, because this is meaningful, right? But I want to commend just the fact that you care about community and the impact before everything else, because even with this podcast, I've started nonprofits, things I do consistently that cost me thousands of dollars. And to a person who doesn't have impact first in their heart, so I asked you about your heart posture, they be like, yo, why are you doing that?
Why are you doing that?
Because they don't see the seeds of impact that can be created from a piece of content, a reel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I think what you're doing is great, and I commend you for that. We need people who look like us to show us that, and to show that it matters, and then to get the fruits of that labor as well, because I feel like we have to manipulate ourselves into understanding what's good for us.
Definitely.
I think we get manipulated into thinking, you know, things that aren't good for us are good for us. And so people like you are showing, nah, it's cool to give back. It's cool to create nonprofits. It's cool to be out here in your neighborhood doing good work consistently. And then you show them, like I said, the cheat code, because now your 9 to 5 is still giving back, and now you're getting paid for that and funding all this other work you're doing. So
exactly.
Just wanted to say kudos, man.
Appreciate
I really
that, man.
appreciate you doing that, because we need more of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what keeps me going. Like I said, it's the messages from my friends and family and the outreach that I get on social media. Like my friends joke all the time. They like, oh, Darnell for president, Darnell for mayor, like, or like, yo, we love what you're doing. Like, never change, always remain like you. And that's what keeps me going. Every day that I get up, like I'm creating, like even today, like just the people that you meet, you never know who's watching or who's paying attention. Like I started this clothing drive, young black male from the Bronx, New York. And 6 years later, like filling a 10 by 15 U-Haul, like unbelievable. Like I picked up clothes from all 4 out of the 5 boroughs, excluding Staten Island, and clothes were even sent to me as far as Bermuda. Like I had an email from Bermuda, from a guy in Bermuda saying that, hey, I seen your flyer on social media. I love what you're doing. I want to give back. So from Bermuda, he sent me about $200 to $300 worth of items from Amazon from Bermuda. Like you never know who's watching. So like that impact keeps me going. Like that's a smile on my face every day that ensures me what you're doing something right. Like you're going to inspire people. I want to inspire that, younger Darnell that's sitting in that classroom right now that looks like me, that has dreams and aspirations on whether starting a business, whether it's a nonprofit or just giving back in the community, to just do it. Like that's just simply it. Like just do it. Wake up and decide to do it. Of course, there's some research that will come into it. And like you mentioned, like I'm using my 9 to 5 to fund my 5 to 9. And that's exactly what I'm doing, because you think about it, right? I have friends that sponsor like the U-Haul or the storage unit that I store the clothing in, or that donate food for Hungry for Change NYC. And that's just based off of love. People want to do it because they want to give back. But outside of that, when the funds weren't rolling in, I was doing it by myself, but I didn't even think about it, right? Because if I can go out to these nice restaurants and have a nice meal, or, go to the club or bar and spend money on, alcohol, I could definitely give back to my community, right? So I want to be that person. Like I know we're the new age adults, right? That people are saying. So
the new age,
adults, they're like, yo, we the adults. Everybody's saying like, listen, like, why nobody have cookouts anymore? Like we the aunts and uncles. Like we got to do it. We got to, put the hookahs down, put the liquor down, and we got to start the grill, right? So that's what we have to do. So we have to be those people. So I want to be that OG to someone else coming up right now that wants to be inspired to do something else, to do that. Because we're at that age.
And I got to say something too, because I heard this preacher talk about this concept of a serial sower. So I think that's what you are.
Definitely.
Right? Somebody who's just consistently giving, and it's going to come back in different ways. But I feel like we also have to be that, right? Showing how we can just keep giving and sustaining that giving, right? Doing it with some wisdom, but making sure that we just don't stop understanding the power of that community impact.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think to that point, you can sow into what you're doing and others sow into you, and you're going to get it back tenfold, 100-folds, right? And I do, in fact, see that. Like the fruits of my labor, like people do, in fact, give me my flowers. I am blessed in, multiple of ways, right? But I think just being able to like lay the foundation for what I'm doing, it only heightens my passion. Like I'm always thinking about creating what I want to do next. Like the drive just ended and I dropped off the clothes last Saturday. So we're talking about a week out. So now I'm going to use this time to like post content from that. But in a blink of an eye, I'm thinking about what I want to do next. Who am I going to collaborate with? How can I stay consistent in what I'm doing to fulfill, the obligation that I have? Because a lot of people, they want to start a nonprofit. They don't know it's a lot that goes into it. You think about, taxes, you think about, filing, making sure that you are up to date with requirements for the state that you file in, right? But it goes beyond that, because you want to stay consistent. I could have done the clothing drive 1 year and never made it to year 6. There was times throughout this drive, I was thinking to myself like, yo, this is a lot. You know what I mean? Like I could stop. I don't think about year 7. I don't think I'm gonna make it to year 7 to actually want to do it. Like, am I losing that drive? And then when I see how much is collected and my friends that pour into me and give back and help me pack the truck and wake up early and give back and help me drop off, this is why I do it. So it just keeps me going.
I love that. And I want to, so this all sounds good, right?
Yep.
And I think both of us have gotten to a place where we can feel the fruits of everything we put the time into. But for the folks who are the young Darnells right now in the classrooms, right, I want to talk to the stuff that they might be getting hit with. So we talked about that comparison spirit before we got on camera. How do you make sure that you don't get lost in somebody else's journey, that you get in their lane and start comparing yourself to things that they have to experience and things that they get from being in a different lane, when it's like, nah, this is what I'm supposed to be at. I need to focus on what comes with this journey.
Yeah, so that young scholar that's in that classroom that you speak about, I would first tell them, like, social media is not a real place. I know a lot of times we harp on, there's pros and cons of social media, right? But don't look at anybody else's lane. Don't look at anybody else's race. Run your own race, because I have friends who, excel in content creating or, start in a poetry platform. Whatever that may be, it works for them, right? All you can do is support your friends. If that's your friend, support them in what they do and continue to create and build for yourself, right? Don't look at anybody else's, ups, because we all post our ups, right? Now people are getting into the notion of posting like, oh, my failures and all of this, because it's content, right? And they love to like monetize off of it. But I think really, if everyone is able to help and provide resources to other people to bring them up, we as a community together, we can change what our communities look like. Whether that's in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Brooklyn, whatever that may be, we can change the narrative of what that looks like by supporting others. So run your own race, be authentically you, and never let anybody tell you that you can't do something, because I think that's also for me is like, oh yeah, like, you can't do that. It takes a lot of work. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. Like, you know what I mean? So like, reaching out to these companies and corporations for grants or, to provide goods for, let's just say, a Hungry for Change. Like, I enjoy that process, right? Because I'm going to accept 1,000 no's before I get that yes. But when I get that yes, I'm going to love on it. I'm going to grow from it. I'm going to learn from it. And I'm going to take it to, the world and beyond. Like, you know what I mean? So, to that young individual that's out there right now, just lock in, hone in, run your own race, have that tunnel vision. Don't let anything stop you from what you got going on. And I'm telling you that you're gonna enjoy the fruits of your labor, and it's gonna be beautiful. Like when you taste that joy, it's nothing like it.
That's a fact, man. And you say you grew up in church.
I grew up in church.
So I want to just take us on the spiritual side, because I feel like a lot of us try to play God at a young age.
For sure.
We think we need to know the whole picture, right? No matter how many steps God said, hey, I'm gonna show you the first 2 steps, just take those. If we don't see the whole thing, we let all this self-doubt, all these thoughts that can just deter us, kind of enter us and then stop us from actually making like movements at all. I would say just take the next step, right? Just literally take the next step. Sounds like a cliche, but stop getting overwhelmed with trying to figure out everything today. Like literally, you just said your story and everything, how things play out years later, and you get to get all these signs of alignment and the fruits of your labor. Like you couldn't paint that picture 6 years ago. You have to let things play out and just do your part. So I would say just stay faithful and disciplined and make sure you do your part and watch God show up and let you become the person you're supposed to become.
Yeah, that's so true, because a lot of times we have our life planned out of like what it's gonna look like, whether it's at work, school, or in this nonprofit space, and it doesn't always work out like that way. And you have to learn or be able to pivot and change at any given time. Like literally just past Saturday is that, I was speaking with one of the reps at U-Haul and I ordered a 10 by 15 truck. When I got there at 8 a.m. to pick it up, they only had a 10 by 10. I'm like, drive packing starts in an hour. Like, what am I going to do? So I'm in New Rochelle and she was like, well, the only 10 by 15 truck we have is in the Bronx on White Plains Road. So I looked at my watch and I said, well, I only got 15 minutes to get there. So I'm like, okay, let me jump on the highway. So I jump on the hutch from New Rochelle and I'm heading to the U-Haul location. And what's happening? The bridge on the hutch is going up. So that's a 20-minute wait. So now I'm like, I'm not going to make it for 9 o'clock. And I'm very punctual. I pride myself on being on time, punctual, just showing up because, time is very important, right?
Of course, yeah.
I had to pivot, call a friend and say, hey, listen, like I need you to get the ball rolling for me. Could you head over to the storage unit? I'll try my best to get there at 9, right? And I did, maybe like 9:05, but I pride myself on not being anywhere else where I tell somebody I'm gonna show up, right? And, I feel like, growing up, I was always taught, like my parents are always on time. I mean, probably get it from
that's
them.
dope.
Yeah,
That's dope.
so
They need to talk to my parents.
it just rubbed off on me. And then going to college and joining my fraternity, I was always told like to be early is to be on time.
Nice.
To be on time is to be late, and to be late is to have never been there at all.
Right.
So you ever show up late for anything in life, and I was like, oh, you're catching up? Like if you're late to class, now you're in the back, but you normally sit in the front, right? Now you might have missed something in that first 5 to 10 minutes of the lecture that you would have got if you were on time.
Right.
So, just showing up and just knowing that you might have a path in your mind set aside for you, that God has another plan, or whoever you believe in has another plan for you. And you have to be able to pivot and change. And at the end of the day, like, I always say to myself, like, Darnell, it's all gonna work out. And for some reason, it works out.
Yes,
So, like I'm probably like 15 for 15. Like just add it right now, what I could remember that it's going to work out. Like so, just gotta keep that in mind.
Yeah, Maverick City Music has this song called A Million Little Miracles.
Dope song, yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's such a true testimony, because like I can't even keep up with the amount of times everything worked out.
It's just gonna work out. Like, what sometimes you gotta stop and rest, but it's going to work out. You just gotta keep going, stay in your lane, have that drive and that passion. If you put yourself up to something, do it. Right. So I don't like to start something that I'm not gonna finish. Right. So it could be a Netflix show. Like if the show is bad, I gotta see it through. I started
wait, no. I don't agree with that.
He's like, hold on. But that's just me. It works for me.
Level. You're on a higher level.
You know what it is? Like if I start the series, I'm like, yo, I gotta see it through. Some shows start out slow.
It's too much content out here to be wasting my time.
Hear me out, right? I was just telling my friend, like, Lincoln Lawyer just dropped a new season. Oh yeah, dope show. Okay, she was like, yo, it's a slow start.
Okay.
And they just exit out. I'm like, yo, you got to give it time. You got to see it through. Now it's season 3. Oh, this is one of the best shows on Netflix. Y'all didn't see it through. Y'all didn't give it time. Y'all gave up too soon.
You know what? I'm going to call you when I want to test the show out. I'm going to let you go through the process.
Hit me up. I listen, if I test it out, I'll watch it. I'll give you my honest opinion, my thoughts. Hey, listen, it's a 7 out of 10. Highly would recommend it, or maybe not. But, I just got to see it through, right?
I respect that, yeah.
So that's just me, though. It works for me. It might not work for all.
Kudos. Listen, before we wrap up, how can we support Darnell Cares and any other things you're doing in the community?
Yo, definitely. Reach out via social media. We're on Instagram at Darnell Cares. Reach out, email darnellcares@gmail.com. You can reach out for monetary donations as well. I'll send you that information via Zelle. But most importantly, I love the volunteer effort piece of it. So whenever I have an initiative that I'm posting or that I'm supporting, definitely having people come out and, lending their time and energy to what I'm doing, I appreciate that. So I think that's most important. And then secondly, when it comes to Hungry for Change NYC, that event happens on the first day of the year. So this year, last year 1/1/2024, this year 1/1/2025. So that's at Hungry for Change NYC on Instagram as well. So feel free to reach out, and I'm sure that definitely you'll attach this information so they know how to reach out. But definitely, I love the helping hands, giving back, because I have this slogan with Darnell Cares that all you have to do is pack a bag and I got the rest. So, that just translates to everything that I do. Like, I just need you to be there and we'll figure it out from there.
No, I love that, man. I'm hoping to join this year or next year. You deserve all the support, so we hope that we get more volunteers for you and everything can expand. You get sponsors, all the funding you need. But just listen, brother to brother, great work, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man. I love what you're doing here. Excited to see the rollout, the content, and just everything that you're doing. Like, this is the inspiration that people need to see. So you sitting in that chair, having a guest on this side, you just waking up. It's a Saturday morning. You didn't have to be here. This is what I'm talking about. You didn't have to be here. This is your Saturday, you know what I mean? So, I just want to commend you on that. So just, like you said, man to man, just giving you your flowers just as you gave me mine. So I appreciate that, man.
That's love, man. Thanks for joining me.
Definitely.
Don't procrastinate yourself into a regretful life.